Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Jason, host of Fighting Words Financial, and today let's talk about BYD. Now, I haven't covered BYD in about a month or so, and I wanted to talk about one or two items of news that have come out that are pretty important. And one of them, I'm not sure exactly what it means right now. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, I'm going to present some facts to you guys. I'm going to let you decide. But let's talk about BYD here just for a minute in terms of their industrial capacity, their production, and kind of where they fit in terms of all of the EV producers in China right now. So unbeknownst to many other folks who are investors in the EV market, BYD is essentially the largest producer of EVs in all of China right now outside of Tesla. They outproduce NIO, Xpeng, and Li Auto combined. In fact, this year, January through November, they've done about 500,000 unit sales of what they call the new energy vehicles in China, and that includes hybrid electric vehicles as well as battery electric vehicles. Up until recently, those hybrid electric vehicles have comprised a pretty large percentage of those, but in the last couple of months, the proportion of battery electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles has been roughly the same. So let's take a look at those numbers real quickly, and I'll show you an article that outlines kind of the biggest news that's out there that everyone else on the internet seems to have ignored, that I think is really impactful, but what it means is not really clear at this time, and we'll talk about that later on in the video. So let's take a look here. BYD's January to November sales, top 500,000 units. BYD company saw its monthly auto sales surge 82.3% year over year to 98,340 units in November. This makes them at roughly 1.2 million units, a year. This makes them probably one of the top 15 auto producers in China. And that includes all of the foreign brands that are sold there too. So for the first 11 months, BYD scored a 72% year-on-year hike with 641,019 vehicles sold. So now let's look at the breakdown here. And let's look at the most recent breakdown where we see the new energy vehicles. We have battery electric and we have hybrid electric vehicles. And so with battery electric vehicles, we have 46,137 being sold. That's more than Li, NIO, and Xpeng combined. And hybrid electric vehicles, we have another roughly 44,000 being sold. So compared to last year, that's a giant jump up. Compared to October, that shows a month-over-month change of about 11.9%. So one of the things that you don't see here, and the other thing is their oil-fueled vehicle proportion of their overall sales has dropped by 73% over the last year or so. So they're almost completely what China calls a new energy vehicle producing company at this point, where 90% of what they produce is basically hybrid electric vehicles or battery electric vehicles. So moving on from there, blooming sales growth entirely flowed from the increase in new energy vehicle sales. BYD says its NEV sales in November skyrocketed 241.77% from the previous year to 91,219 units, resulting in that year-to-date volume of 509,838 units, which is a 217% year-over-year gain. And it's worth mentioning, according to this article, that BYD achieved these highest level figures in monthly auto sales in November, meaning the highest they've ever done. So they've been able to do this despite all of the supply chain challenges, and particularly despite the chip challenges. I'm going to go into why that is in just a minute. So the best-selling vehicle they have is the BYD Han right now, which is a Tesla Model 3 competitor. They sold roughly 12,841 units last month. They're growing a little bit and exceeding 10,000 units now for 3 months straight. So the Xpeng P7, the Model 3 Tesla, and the BYD Han are all roughly comparable here. I would say, to be perfectly honest here, the BYD Han probably fits a little bit lower on the scale in terms of fit and finish than that Xpeng does. And of course, the technology bonuses that you get from the Xpeng vehicle and the Model 3 possibly make it a little bit better deal, but price-wise, BYD is a little bit under them. So they come out with a new vehicle here in the last couple of months, which is the BYD Dolphin here, and I'm showing you this vehicle. This is a sub $20,000 electric vehicle with a 200-mile range. They beat Tesla to it at this point. Really, this was kind of designed from the bottom up to be that low-level entry point into there. They already have, according to BYD, they have a massive amount of pre-orders. This is already on back order. So this is all really good news here. And they have a whole suite of vehicles that are coming out pretty soon here. So let me move on here, and let's talk about what else is going on. And this is the big news that I wanted to talk to you about. BYD is said to seek external IGBT supplies as semiconductor unit is facing tight capacity. So this is why this is giant news. BYD is actually the only car company out there that produces their own chips at this point, and especially the IGBT chips, which are essentially the CPU of an electric vehicle and help to distribute and manage power in there. So these are the chips right now that are most limiting production for Tesla, limiting production for NIO. In fact, they faced enormous problems sourcing these chips back in October. NIO did, at least. And this is said to constrain capacity for car companies all over the world. BYD, as of yet, has not faced any supply constraints, but now they are seeking external IGBT supplies. And they placed an order worth over 100 million yuan. That's only $15.7 million in chips to this Hangzhou Silan Microelectronics company, microelectronics company. I don't know anything about that particular company. But what is big about them is that these insulated gate bipolar transistors, which are critical to the manufacture of EVs, BYD up to now has been able to make all of these their own. So you can look at this news in two different ways, right? So you can look at this news as a positive, meaning that their production of new electric vehicles and electric vehicles is so high that their native production capacity simply can't handle handle all they need to produce. So they're seeking suppliers out there, right? Out there in other places in China, probably Malaysia here pretty soon, and Indonesia, right? You could view that as a good thing, or you could view that as a bad thing and say that they're not going to be able to keep up with demand. And if they're not able to keep up demand, then some other competitors are going to get some of that bleed over business because you can't buy that BYD Han or that BYD Dolphin, which means that other people are going to steal a little bit of market share. So I'm not sure how to view this news, but I do know that this is big news. One way or another, BYD has exceeded the capacity of BYD Semiconductor in the production of IGBTs, and now they're looking for supplies elsewhere. Those supplies right now are a pretty small amount, only $15 million in chips that they're ordering. But that number could grow in the future if they're able to procure those chips. They don't see any other supply chain constraints, and they're able to continue to grow their sales. So don't sleep on BYD, guys. This company has not received as much positive press or really investor hype from the internet or from Reddit and from all these YouTube hypers, but it is definitely slowly and surely increasing sales, taking market share. And it's taking market share from some of the biggest traditional, automakers that are out there right now in China. And I think it's very exciting to see where they're going. And let's also remember that I was just reading an article also on Gasgoo that said 68% of all battery capacity installed in China in the last month was done by two companies, CATL and BYD. They're one of the largest battery producers on the entire planet as well. So this is a company you shouldn't sleep on, guys. Take a look at it. Make your own decisions as to when and where you want to invest if that's what you want to do. Remember, I can't give you advice via YouTube on what to buy and when to buy. Do your own research. Having said that, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this content today, please subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.